Hello. Hi, Ronnie. Hi, Ali. Hi, Tito. We are going to stream some Pokopia with no face cam again because it'll be a shorter stream and I'm just dressed kind of cozy. And if you sub, you get some drops. You get a cute little emote if you haven't already. A little ditto um, badge. Ronnie, how's your day today? Ali, too. It's Friday. Tito, make sure you get your check in before you walk away. Thanks for the tab. Is all Bridgerton and Pokopia. I live, laugh, love that. How are you today, Justin? Ronnie, I'm not gonna lie, I am not great, but I'm not the type to sort of dwell on shit or like talk about a lot. So it's not everything. It's just mostly um, stuff I have to get through on my own. But stream helps. And that's what I was saying yesterday. Is being on stream and talking to friends and escaping a little bit. It's all very helpful. I'm so grateful for you all here. Um, I'm excited for the weekend. My brother and I are gonna have a phone call tomorrow and catch up and grocery shopping. And D&D. Teach me your ways. I dwell on everything and don't know how to let you go. Honestly, Ronnie, it's taken a lot of practice. I used to be the type to hold grudges and stuff, but I honestly don't care. And I think that's sort of the mentality I have. Is I don't really care, so I need to focus on on things that matter, and I need to focus on things that are gonna make me better. And so far, certain things aren't. So I don't mind letting those things go because they don't serve me, and I put myself first in a lot of ways too, to protect myself from those feelings. Just a glimpse into my life. I was just telling Kevin the other day that I know. I think that mentality makes me appear like a little bitchy because I just don't care. And it's not that I don't care in that I'm gonna do what I want. It's more like I don't feel well. I don't like where I'm at in life or like the things that are happening in my life. And so I'm not sure that I have the energy to dwell on things that don't affect me. And I'd rather put my energy and time into the thing that's affecting me so I can fix it and feel better and look better. I appreciate you, Ronnie, saying good vibes. Yeah. All good vibes. It's not bad vibes. It's mostly just life. Good things coming your way. I thank you so much, Ronnie. And same for you. I know you were talking about, transitioning from caretaker back into, working full time. And I know that can be super stressful and it probably is super stressful. So just know we're in this together and life will always hand you obstacles. But it's about the people who are there to like lift you up and get you through it. And so I'm so grateful for you all and, the people in my life here. Let's get started with this cute ass music. Oh, it's loud as hell. That big hug. Is that your emo? Oh my god, you have such cute bunny emotes. So Ronnie, let's talk about rabbits. Do you like rabbits? We've unlocked a few Pokemon. We have manipulated our home because it has. You do? Do you have any rabbits as pets? I I'm not really familiar with rabbits. Is Torchic done? Okay, we have a lot to do. I don't know if time jumping works in this game. Hey Torchic, thank you. And follow me. I'm gonna put you to work over here. You're gonna build this thing. I think I have to complete this to finish Mahuti's quest, which is fine. I might just keep it here. Torchic, come light this shit on fire. Bit of an obsession, TBH. Ooh. So did you have pets growing up, or like rabbits growing up, or do you have rabbits now? Okay, cool. What am I missing? There's not enough space to build. Why would it let me put it down? Wait, what? Oh, why do I have to do this? Can I hold? Oh, yes, I can. Okay. Like, if I don't have... There's not enough space to build. Why are you letting me put it? Oh, here. Oh, it needs that much. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want. Let's do this. And let's bring these Pokemon back. Makuhita. I think they were all chilling around me. Oh, girl, I don't care. Here. Nola loves bunnies too. Ooh, hold on. Girl, Green didn't stream today, and I was sending everyone so many TikToks. I did, Ali. I was like, Ali is sending so many TikToks. Does Green usually stream on Fridays? I have to like keep note of that. Wait, who else do I need? Growlithe? No, I want to bring Torchic here. Trubbish, Hooper, Zora. Trubbish wasn't here last time. Oh. Hey, I need to talk to you, Growlithe. Thanks. Okay, quick lowdown of my house decor. Spooky, bunny, skeletons, skull things. Ooh, you're so witchy. Woke up to Taste Swift like, oh, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, Ali. Again, I don't really care, but if it was up to me, I would never listen to Taylor Swift again. Oh wait, I want to put Growlithe here actually, so I can get this started. Wait, Makuhita. I didn't need Makuhita the last time. You know what? Let's just build the Pokemon Center. This will happen overnight. It'll be done tomorrow. Yeah. So they'll work on this today. Everyone's working so hard. What are they making? He's so cute. I just got him. That was so funny. Dude, you said that to me and I was like, I'm not gonna lie. This is not how I want to wake up in the morning. Yeah, let's put you here instead. And we also unlocked the Lapras power. Look at this. You can swim now. Yay! I'm so cute! Yay! Ooh. I know, she's so cute. We unlocked Lapras. Alright, Torchic, come back here. We need you. Trubbish. They're playing tag. Look at them. Hey guys, enough. Follow me. Trubbish, you too. Follow me. Whooper just fell to the floor. I think we need Whooper actually. Follow me. We're gonna build some houses here too. We've been working on a few houses. I need to build Pokemon. Both my builders are in there. There's Lapras over there. Oh, we also unlocked Meryl. Hi, Meryl. So cute. Fun times, fun things planned. Yeah, so my brother is kind of the reason I bought this game. Definitely convinced me. I think both my electric types are working. Oh, actually no. Since I can't build that, Tomo, you're coming with me. Follow me. We have to light up a lamp. We have a phone call set up, so we're probably gonna play this and talk on the phone and catch up because we just haven't spoken really in a while, like about our lives. So we're probably gonna do that, and then I have a D&D campaign like one shot. And look at that shell lamp. I quite like the gentle feeling I get from the shell lamp's glow. That's how I roll. With your arms all wiggly. I suppose our next course of action should be to prepare lots of lights. Okay, I've already done. Also, Pikachu doesn't have electricity. Have you caught the Magikarp? I have. It's in my other environment. Magikarp's probably like the beginning. It's like probably the first Pokemon that you find. What contraption? That contraption by the sea may be the key. Please come with me. Excuse me. Come on, guys. Pikachu. So this Pikachu, I think he's dead. He also ran out of electricity. OMG, the Snorlax though. Did it say, yo, where am I? It did. Like the windmill? This is it. This is the one. This large contraption is known as a windmill. A wind what? And I saw a picture of Magikarp saying I was I love Magikarp. Yeah, Magikarp's great. They all have such great personalities in this game. The Snorlax is so cute. So we're trying to wake Snorlax up. Hi Ryan, thank you for checking in. Welcome in, Ryan. However, when it comes to actually sending the power, it generates to other devices. Oh, now that question I can answer. Humans use called things called utility poles. Oh yeah. Hi Justin and Ronnie. Why is the Pikachu sad? Well, Pikachu's sad because he's dead. I'm pretty sure he's dead. He also can't produce electricity because of the lore, which I'm not going to spoil. I also learned some other lore stuff yesterday that made me really sad. So, you're so smart, Tangrowth. I haven't lived all these long years for nothing. Hell yeah. Look, that tall metal stick over there is the utility pole. Let's try connecting it to the windmill. Okay, so we're gonna learn. Well then, could we ask you to place a utility pole near the windmill? Yeah, you just told me to do that. If you see a faint power line between a generator and a utility pole, you've placed that. Means it's connected to electricity. No power appears. That means your utility pole is far from. Alright, let's move this guy. There you go. Ah, electricity is flowing into the utility pole. Excellent. If you continue connecting utility poles just like this, you'll be able to transport electricity across great distances. Okay, nice. But the small amount of light we're getting from this utility pole isn't enough to brighten the town. That certainly appears to be the case. Our preparations were lacking, it seems. My heart is beating so fast. Why? Now then, we have one more thing we must prepare. Do you know what we need to prepare, Hustine? A street light! There's a million of them that I've made. We're going to use utility poles to supply electricity to harbor streetlights. Then we might be able to brighten the whole town and keep it that way. That's where you come in, Hustine. Could we ask you to prepare a harbor streetlight and place it set up? Alright, bet. Sounds good. I'm sure it will be just fine. Say less. Let's go. They're working on the Pokemon Center over there. So only one Pokemon here is... Oh wait, no, Farfetch'd is also a builder. That's why. That's what happened. Okay, bye. Oh, what's this? 2 jars of honey. Lovely. This is another little environment I made for them. Everyone's working really hard. Right next to a machine! I guess I could have done this yesterday so it's ready today, but... And these are the houses. So this is one house that I prepared. Not a minute. Right next to a machine. Hey, Ditto. You know, looking up at the lit up streetlights got me thinking, gosh, it would be awesome to live right by a machine. I could charge it up with electricity each and every day. No way I'd ever get bored of that. Sure, what kind do you want? Wow, you really make that kind of place for me? Yay! So, something like this would be great. And she's gonna give me a recipe. Period. Oh! Vending machine? Totally. I'd move into a home like that right away. Say less. Got a minute? Sure. 2. I never get bored with you when I'm with you, Ditto. Here, I want to give you something to show my thanks. It's not just a boulder! It's a fluff! I thought it was a rock. Let's part ways with everybody. This is the other house I'm working on right now, but let's do this utility pole challenge. Even though I've put up all these mushroom lights, just so that we can set up utility. We're doing Ronnie's Run. I might just collect all these poles. We just have to rebuild these bridges. Yay! Do you have little smoke coming out of your feet too when you run? Okay. Hi, SSAN. Good to see you. How far can I take this? Oh, it's still connected. Oh, it's pretty far. Wait, that's actually quite a distance. That's perfect. Do we have it cross here? I guess we can bring it around. I don't like where it's placed. Tangrowth, I need you to move, buddy. I need to put a utility pole here. I can't push him! Please! Can I tell him to follow me? Let's see. Oh, no, I can't tell him to follow me. Alright, well. Okay, that's too far. And he's in the way. See, I can't place him. Oh, that's... Yeah, it's too far. It's true, putting your arms... Yeah, it does help you. I mean, hello, proven fact. That's just science, you know, at that point. Wait, what did it say? I need more electricity to what? To power everything that's connected. We'll mess with the infrastructure later. Oh my god, Lucas is back. Hi Lucas, welcome in. Thank you for getting your check-in. 3 stream streak? Not helpful in case you fall though. Yeah, you just yeah, GG easy, like just like this. Oh wait, hold on. Put that back in my stomach. That tickles me. Oh, whoops. Oh. Helicopter, helicopter. Yes, literally. That's that part. How you doing, Lucas? How's your day? Today's not too late for you. What's yesterday? Um, Honestly, we put some more sand. I think that's kind of. I want to keep the vibe that we're rebuilding it instead of making it like perfect. Like I kind of like that. No, I don't want to connect it to that utility pole. Is really the problem. I was also rebuilding this bridge. That's another habitat. We're trying to spawn a Zoomerl. Good. How was you? Honestly, today wasn't a bad day. So I'm working right now with my friend as her business manager for her company. So we did some stuff. We did about 3 hours of work today in the morning. Kind of like working on her ops, which is a lot of fun. It's a lot of creative. It's a lot of marketing. So I'm also going to be marketing the company. Meowth just chills over here. Lucas, do you play Pokemon at all? I don't know if I asked you before. Hello, 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 hello. Oh, it's connected to this thing. Interesting. Oh wait. Okay, but I didn't wet anything. That was wrong. Oh, that gives me iron. Oh, hell yeah. I'm breaking all that crap. I played Pokemon, but I haven't touched my Switch in 3 or 4 years. Honestly, I only have a Switch because of Pokemon. I didn't have a Switch for the longest time, and then I moved, and then I bought a Switch. I literally didn't have a Switch. I had a Switch Lite. I wish. Oh, I can break this now. Wait. I couldn't do that like at all. That's new. I just achieved that. I guess. I was not able to break those things like earlier today even. Into the water. Yes. Hey, let's trade some stuff at the cash register sometime. He's so cute. I do have a cash register. Let's see what's in the store. Build something. Build different structures. Dampen dirt. We just have to do one more. Oh, 50 more. Make your own house. I've still yet to make my own house, and it's because the game won't register the house I built myself. I think I'm gonna make a little tiny house in this little plot of land, and it's just gonna be like a fenced off situation. But both of these are houses. Maybe I'll make this a house. I can also craft utility poles. So maybe not 26. Maybe just 10. Oh. Damn. Patches of 5? First one. Let's make this. Community boxes so that when people loot. The issue is I don't have somebody to gather stuff. So I'm just gonna drop loot in there so that people can process it. Oh, I can make stuff. Make the bricks? Yes, I can. I considered buying a capture card and playing Animal Crossing, but I figured not that now that Pokemon Pokopia is out, that makes no sense. Well, you know what's crazy is that because Pokopia came out, I started playing Animal Crossing. like like revisited it, not restarted it, because honestly I'm so far in the game, but I never actually completed like the game's story at all. Um, we kind of just stopped after a while, and before I got this, I just was playing um Animal Crossing a bunch. There's something I completed. Oh wait, yeah. Oh, it's challenge day. I have to take a picture. All done. Take a picture of them working. That is so funny. You didn't get sucked into the panda. I did. No, I literally, that is so funny. I know. The hunt for Switches during lockdown was crazy. I know. And the PS5. Yeah, I got my PS5 during lockdown. And Kevin, welcome in. Thank you for checking in. Hey, how's your day off? And I did play Animal Crossing, but the person I was with was like one of those obsessive people who, yeah, I didn't get my Switch during lockdown, but I got my PS5 during lockdown. My ex was like very obsessed with the game and would like go out of his way to like hunt items down and go to like the forums and get onto people's islands so you can get like rare items and all that. And I think that took me out of it because oh that was scary. I thought it was gonna blow up, and then you blow up. Here's drive 5 different Best Buys to find a Switch. Literally, that's crazy. That's crazy. 2 years for the PS5, dude. I literally had to buy a bundle, like get it with the Spider-Man bundle. I get that at first. I was just living my best life on AC, and then people started like competing. Yeah. And I was like, my island is ugly, and it's gonna stay ugly. I'm not gonna lie. 7 of us in the group chat. We had a group chat, and I was like, "How much are your tournaments worth?" Literally, and then be like, "Yeah," and there's like a whole like black market for turnips. Hold on, I'm gonna. Sorry, I had a phone call. If only we knew each other back then. Honestly, I'm glad we didn't, because my ex would have been kind of crazy. About me being your friend. He was very. Can we be honest? Okay, you guys want to know some Justin lore? Let's talk about it. So I came out as bi to like publicly right before COVID, like 2019. And Justin story time. Yeah, and so, you know, me being me and scared and like baby queer, I naturally jumped right into a relationship. So what I wanted to do was, oh, I kind of already told Kevin this. I think Kevin knows this. We literally spoke about it. And he was very not controlling, possessive is the word. That's the word I want to use. Possessive. He was very possessive, even though he himself was like kind of well known in like New York gay nightlife. He didn't want people to like see me out or anything, and he honestly didn't want me seen without me. Or he didn't want me seen without him. And maybe that's insecurity, but I also was like trying to figure out who I was and what my identity like was in the context of our relationship. And I think it just really, really like shifted my whole mindset on my identity in a negative way. So when we finally broke up, because I tried breaking up with him at least once, and he was possessive, like I said. So it didn't work. As it fails, for people like that. Red flag, yeah. I miss story times. Live and learn, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. So then we broke up, and then I moved because I was like, I honestly don't want to do this here. And I spent like the time I was away really trying to figure out like what it was about dating him I didn't like. And for the most part, it was him and his like idea of what being in a same sex relationship was like. But it was also like stuff like that. Like he was always in competition with me. Like we were both playing Animal Crossing for fun, and he was like just being weird about it. He was weird that I had other friends. He was weird that I wanted to play games with other people. And then we finally broke up. I finally broke up with him, and I can happily say that it's not like that anymore, and that I have a lot more conviction than I did because I'm like very aware of my queerness now. Like I understand myself better. But at the time, sheesh, your boy was going through it. So that's just TLDR why Animal Crossing kind of took a backseat. Yuck is right. The awe is for you being sad, not your trash can. Yeah. I was very sad in that relationship. And it's not even like, it really is like, I think, they say that like the signs are all there and stuff, but it really is hard when it's not like violent or physical, and it's a lot of like mental and like verbal stuff that happens that you're like, why is this happening this way, and like how can I stand up for myself in a way that's like productive and not petty, because that's just not how I was or am. That same ex, funny story, that same ex went on to sort of manipulate the guy I was dating here when I first moved, into thinking that I was like manipulative and a liar, and all this other stuff. Thus that relationship came to an end, but that was another relationship that needed to fucking end. Thank God it did. Love really do make blind. No, like, and I want to say love, it's right, but it honestly isn't. Like, I can honestly say I'm not sure I love that person. I didn't at the time really understand that what I was feeling wasn't love. I was just like attached to him. He was like my first boyfriend. I think there's an attachment there. I felt bad wanting to do my own thing. I made brick walls. I was sort of cleaning up, but I forgot what my task was. So many things. Yeah. Literally, I was so pre-COVID, like 2019, I was really active in my friends like Twitch community. And in 2020, like I became a mod for him, and he was like pushing for a partner at the time, like Twitch partner. I mean, he eventually got it and stuff, but there was a time I just even disappeared from his chat, and he would write to me like, "Hey, like, is everything okay?" Like, my ex just doesn't want me to be social without him. It was really upsetting. And like the gag was, homeboy was like 10 years older than me. I think like someone in their 30s would be a little bit more sure of themselves. But it wasn't the case. Realize how sad you are until you finally, yeah. Until you, for me, it was like, I didn't realize how sad I was until I was happy. You know what I mean? You know, I was happy and I was like, wait, I didn't feel like this for so long. For 3 years. I was with this person for 3 years. I don't know if that makes me a bad judge of character, but for 3 years, I just let this person make me feel like trash. And I was finally happy again after we broke up, and I was like, oh my god, like I missed my friends. I missed the people I would talk to all the time, and I just didn't have that anymore. It's really hard transitioning out of the relationship. I was like so involved. And I kind of hated myself for a long time for like dealing with it. But I also just had to be real with myself and understand that there was nothing I could do in those moments because I wasn't sure. I didn't have the tools to advocate for myself and have conviction. Dated a butthead and I always thought he would change it for me. And I mean, I don't even care. Like, yeah, that's always like the worst. Oh, I wasn't happy for like a year. Ali, I was in this relationship for all of COVID, like 3 years. And I think it, like, COVID didn't help. Like, it all happened so quickly. And, we were together for 3 years. 3 years I know I'll never get back, or like 3 years of experience I'll never have, but it is what it is. But I got a new position at work, making bank, and I went back home. Alright, hug me, and I was like, Allie! Not sitting in a car for an hour! Oh my god, that would send me. I would be sick. I'd be like, what the fuck? I have to sit with this person. Yeah, isolated it, and then things become the norm until you realize, oh shit, this isn't supposed to be normal. Literally, okay, so we broke up, and all my friends were like, yeah, you kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. And I was like, it's because I was so anxious to even talk to my friends being with him, you know? Like, you should never be like that with a person. Like, truly. Let's try to make a roof. I heard that making roofs in this game is not easy. The timing could not have been worse, and I had to say it before I changed my mind. Oh my god, but thank god you did, right? Like, your life's so different, I bet. Obviously, right? You have kids and look you in the eyes and say, am I a fan of this? I guess just to say I built a house. With my ex, a lot of my friends warned me about the red flags I didn't see at the time, but when we broke up, I finally had that. Oh shit. And I figured he was really, yeah. How did I let that happen? And I, you know, like, I have so much sympathy now for people who struggle with like even worse like situations. Cause I'm like, it's so easy to like make excuses and forgive and just like say that you love a person and be okay with things that you're not okay with, right? It's so easy to do that. So I'm really grateful for my friends who stuck along the way. I have windows I can maybe put up here. I think this is as good as the roof gets, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm only doing this for the Pokemon that like the dark. They're all working right now. Well, Zubat's not. Grimer is. Grammar's not here. And Larvitar is working. Okay. We'll just finish the house. Put some environments in there. Some store. Then we got home and I was hungry and left my dog. He was watching. Ew. I got the dog some nugs. I got a burger and I got home and he's like, "Oh, you only got food for yourself?" Like, yeah, I just broke up with you. Like, you not have money? Go get food on your own. Oh. Now don't piss me off. That would piss me off. Because I'm quite the assertive person, hence the name. Well, yeah, I mean, I think you guys know me as like very confident and like loud and sure of myself, and that's just really not who I was in this relationship. And I think a lot of people who know me were like, yeah, you were kind of tripping. Like, I'm glad it's over. Like, people, it's crazy when people are happy that the relationship's over for you. You know what I mean? Even when you're not. Like, I was devastated, you know, coming out of that relationship. It wasn't until like months later that I realized it was honestly like a blessing to be out of it. Yeah, of course I didn't get you fucking chicken nuggets, ho. Go get your own. Don't piss me off. That would piss me the fuck off. I'd be like, you know where the fucking McDonald's is? Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and I mean, I think that's so important to hear from people who like witness who you truly are, you know? Oh, that's the end of my bricks. Last. Oh. I need like 5 more, I think. So let's make some more. Maybe we can explore that cave. I'm gonna move like this. Drive safe, Ronnie. Good collect a child. I love that. Get your sparkle back. Yeah. And you don't even realize, like, I didn't even realize my sparkle was gone. Like, I felt the same. You know? And it really wasn't until we broke up that I was like, oh. So it's not supposed to be like this. Got it. Right. I was just in this toxic relationship that I kept afloat for no reason. Because I honestly didn't even want to be with him, which, I mean, the gag is I broke up with him. I had already broken up with him before, you know? Like, we'd already broken up during COVID because it was too much for me. And I didn't want to be in a relationship like that. Like, I didn't want to be committed. And not in a toxic way, but I just wasn't ready for a relationship. I wasn't ready to be in a relationship. And I knew that about myself. And I let feeling bad that he was upset about me breaking up with him stop me from just breaking up with him. You know what I mean? Ah. What a time. What a time. Yeah, I like that. I love this drink. Oh, that's not. I'm just gonna put roof pieces down, actually. Get up. Waking up in bed and brewing coffee. Why would she do that when she's already got... Guys, who's listening to Hemlock Springs? Be honest. 'Cause I would rather kill myself than look you in the eyes and say, I want you, I love ya. I don't remember what it was. Ooh, that looks way better, guys. I learned how to make roofs. Also, Lucas, to let you know, you should probably just. Wait, where does this go? You should probably just stream Animal Crossing anyway, you know? Like, who the fuck cares? If Pokopia is out or not. Just start playing it. That's another thing I learned about streaming is, like, it doesn't matter what I'm playing. I'm not here for the game. The people should be here for me. You don't like what I'm playing? Well, you should be here for me. Well, yes, exactly. Like, I'm only here to hang out with you guys. I don't really care what I'm playing. And I know this is cozy vibes. Like, people like to do this in the background. I did like 2 streams, and it was Disney Dreamlight. Period. See, Allie? Okay, Allie, but an Allie stream when? When are we getting a coffee beans? I know that's not your actual Twitch name, but I had to say it because I was thinking about Ben and Jerry's. Shout out to Ben and Jerry's. Wait, how many spots is it? Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that. Wow, get nice. Get nice. Can I just highlight the one? I wish this door was one. Like, I wish the door was better tiled, but this is cute. Okay, guys, I figured out the roofs. We're winning. Because then what they did is this. Something's in the way. Oh, you can't play this on top? Interesting. Alright, well, I guess this is it. And now we have a cute little house. Aww. Well, I want to put a light in here. Even though they want it dark. These are Pokemon that want it dark outside. They get a little porch. Gates. I thought I had the big one open. I don't have any doors. Hey, thanks, Biplop. Yeah, I made that. Oh wait, let's see if I have the roof. Do I have a roof recipe? Wait. No, just the brick walls. Oh, and now I can make balloons. Valleys, tiled roof. Let's see if I can get it from the store. Oh wait. Oh, level 5. Then I can get it. Are there any windows that I can buy? Who do I want to live? Oh, I have to put those gates up. Who do I want to live here is really the question. See, like, this doesn't count as a house, which I find so strange, but I think it's because it's connected to this. Let's see what happens when I do this. Is it 2? Let's see if I put a whole wall here. No, it doesn't count. Might as well keep it open. I think the doors need to be swapped. I don't mind that big door actually, since it's the house. Love that for me. What a cute little house. Alright, we're putting... Oh! I didn't mean to take the door. We're putting Grimer in here. Oh, Grimer, where are you? Here, let's summon Grimer. There he is. Oh, I saw him too late. Hey, Grimer, you want to move? Follow me. Look at... Oh, I don't have furniture in here. Whoops. Wait, let's... Couch down. There's a toy I can put down, right? Do I have a toy in my hands? Let's put this white rug down. Love that, love that. Oh, sandbox. Yeah, this is it. I need 3 pieces of furniture. I had a table. Oh wait, this closet will work. Is that 3 pieces of furniture? Alright, let's see if you'll live here. Wanna move in here? Sure. Hell yeah. Alright, Grimer's house. We're gonna put the Whoopers in here. Or Zubat. Let's go get Zubat. Zubat should also. Zubat, where are you? Boing. I love Grimer. He's so slimy. Hi, Taco. Friend. How are you? What's on your chat? How are you doing? How's your new job? Come here, Zubat. Stop talking to him. Come here. Follow me. Why the fuck were you Lapras? That's my power, silly. Look. Oh yeah. Lapras with a hat. So cute! I want a little figurine. Ah, he jumped! I didn't even jump! Alright, we're going here. I love Lapras too. Kevin just told me you're a Ditto. I am a Ditto. I am a Ditto, and my job is to absorb powers. So, Surf is one of my powers. Let's see if I can find Lapras around here. This is Lapras' home. Well, Lapras, where are you? Do you smell this honey? Hey! How's your comfort level? Want a decoration? Don't worry, I got you, friend. I'm gonna make you a little home in a second. But let me get Zubat in here. You are being my favorite Pokemon. It's giving me life. Come here, Zubat. I know. I'm so cute. Hey, Zubat, you want to live in this house? I know you wanted it to be dark. Move in here? Sure can. We're not going to put any lights in here. We're going to do all darkness. So Larvitar is also going to live in there. Then I'm going to cover up his own. Hey, Larvitar. Let's move ya. Follow me. Let's go get his Moss Stone. Boing. I love this game, guys. Oops. Hello? Okay, so that doesn't help them grow. How do I get moss? Like, do I have to wet moss to get moss? Photo op? Where? Oh, it's inside. Oh, I got a photo frame. Let's go. Alright, let's... Mostly people giving in to buying the Switch 2. I'm getting so much Pokopia content on TikTok. I mean, what can be said about Pokemon, about Pokopia, you know? Oh, I can't put it on top of... Sorry, I'm taking your couch from you. These rugs, they're not helpful. That? Oh my god, he's having a tantrum. He's having a meltdown. I have to make room for Larvitar. Relax. Zubat, not everything's about you, okay? You better put that back. Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. That was Zubat. Alright. Oh, actually, I think I had to... I think there's another Pokemon that spawned. Yeah, another Pokemon spawns in it. So, actually, I'm not gonna lie. Larvitar, I'm taking this back. And cut! Exactly. See, Ali, you know. Wanna move in here? Sure can. I wanna put Trubbish, where's the door that I just removed? I have to tell them all to move back in. Oh, I have to tell them all to follow me. follow me. Back inside. Move in here? Sure can. Oh, it's because I took out the couch. There you go. Move in here? Oops. Justin trashing. There goes Justin trashing everything again. Honestly. Oh, they're already living here. I guess it automatically resets. I don't want you to follow me. See you later. Bye. All right, let's get Trubbish over here. I'm gonna put Trubbish outside. And I'm not gonna make him move into the house. I'll just have him right outside the house. How's that, guys? He doesn't need an enclosure. We can honestly put Trubbish like right here. Heck yeah. Oh, give me that back. And then we can put a light out here. Look at that. And now Trubbish will live there. Yay. Who else can we move? Now we have room for one person here. And another environment. Look at Lapras! Okay, Lapras, we all know you can't crawl, okay? Oh. I'm gonna put all the electric Pokemon in one place too. And Growlithe and Torchic together. I think that's... Now we're getting somewhere. Look at them. Look at them all working hard. Oh wait, Trubbish is not even here. Wait, where's Trubbish? Trubbish, where are you? Mistakes were made. There you are. Thanks for everything you do for me, yo. Trubbish, come back. Oh, I have to give you your home. Alright, Trubbish. Oh, he is a builder. Wait, follow me. Let's get this house built. I have to bring Torchic here. Almo. Count as... Why does it... Trubbish count as a build? Oh, it's recycle. Yuck. Makuhita. All these Pokemon are literally... And then I put Makuhita and fucking Farfetch'd together. Hopefully we get a Hariyama. I'm gonna... Hi, Momo. Hi, my Justin. Hi, my Momo. How are you? Gonna be lurking? Okay, thank you for the lurk. It'll be a shorter stream. We're only gonna stream for like another hour. I hope you're doing well. I hope your Friday was good. Aw, okay, Trubbish. I know you got it for me, but here, let's go. Let's go to your trash. Tony, yes, with the check-in. What's up, bro? Are you excited for tomorrow? I am. Probably gonna stream until we all get together. Rubbish. Woohoo! Photo op where? Oh, he's looking through the trash! So cute! Chubbish, I need you. Wanna move in here? Where are we talking about living, yo? The trash. Tony, how you feeling, bro? Sure is, yo. Oh my god, the yos kill me. Alright, great. Lapras wanted to be inside. Oh, I guess she went to go visit Larvitar. I want Zora to move into that house too. Oh, is this gonna turn into something? I'm excited to see what it'll be. Follow me. I'm going with you. So cute. Look at him. So cute. Love better still coughing? Ooh, nasty cough. Where do you want to live, Zora? I know you like it dark, so let's go in here. Want to move in here? Wait, really? Can I really live in this house? Yeah, you can. Lapras, you do not. Come through there. Let's put some toys down. Ooh, some chairs for relaxing out. He jumped right over it. He said, "Hey, Lapras, yeah, get your big ass out of the house." It's that way. The door's this way. Can you make it over there? Let's see. Do I have any more wood panels? I don't have any more wood panels. Just make it up in square. Hey, Meryl. Sometimes they'll stop and they'll take breaks too from building. Oh, the kids are home upstairs. That should fit everything better. Hey! Who's screaming my name? Oh, they're inside. It's a party in here. I don't know why Lapras finds you need to be in there. But here we are. Let's add another toy. Oh, I want to put this here. I think I'm gonna put all the fire type Pokemon in here eventually. We also have this water biome that I'm gonna try to put some more water types in. Oh, I fell into the hole. Oh, time to put this back, the moss stones. I think this is a Tyranitar spawn. So is this like Animal Crossing? Okay. I think I'm the wrong person to ask. I don't have a simple answer for that. It's very similar in that you like befriend all these Pokemon and you're building like towns. I, in my personal opinion, do not find this to be similar to Animal Crossing at all. Like I feel like it is a very different game. This is not Animal Crossing. Like I I don't know if you played Pal World, which was the actual Pokemon knockoff, but this feels more like that because it's like sandbox style building. But I'm biased because I love Pokemon. That's exactly why I'm playing it, because I'm biased and I love Pokemon. But this like sandbox style building is like very Minecraft coded. It's very like, it's not giving Animal Crossing at all. Like the way the build, how massive the world is. Like Animal Crossing did not play like this. Animal Crossing was a much smaller game, and Animal Crossing honestly leaves a lot to be desired in the like character building part. Your villagers don't really contribute to the island at all. So I think it's more like Power World because Power World was more sandboxy in that you can manipulate homes and build out pathways in a way that's similar to this. Now the building blocks remind me of Minecraft. So I would say it's more like that. And you just happen to have these characters that farm for you, which, again, Power World, you find all these monsters, and they do shit for you. Like, they have tasks, and they are all good at one skill, right? But in Animal Crossing, the villagers don't do shit. They're just there for aesthetics. Saw some streams of it, yeah. So it's like, Power World is collecting monsters that have skills, and, like, building out your town with their skills. But they don't have any personalities, there's no dialogue. They're literally just wild animals. Here, you are one of the wild animals talking to other wild animals. And you all have, like, you build relationships with them. Like, this feels way more... The relationship building part is more like the villagers in Animal Crossing. You talk to them, you give them gifts, like, you build their houses for them. But I would say that's, like, pretty much the only similarity I would have with Animal Crossing is that I get to talk to each of the residents. I get to build their homes for them. But that's pretty much it. Like, I don't think it's like Animal Crossing really much. Like in terms of gameplay. I hope that answers your question. That was a long-winded answer, but I think I got my point across. Okay, so now I'm thinking about it. It did. Okay, good. Yeah. I mean, so my brother also told me that it was like Animal Crossing, right? And I was like, I didn't really like Animal Crossing. Like, Animal Crossing was fun, don't get me wrong. But I wouldn't buy a whole console just for Animal Crossing. This game, however, I think it's worth buying the Switch 2 to play this game. There's so much to be done. Like, gonna be on my TikTok, yeah. And Taco, your TikTok's gonna be like, I'm not buying a Switch 2. I'm not gonna buy it. And then, like, cut to you buying it. Girl, I did it. Exactly, Ali. I did it. Let's put a utility pole up here so that that line is not... I want to put it up here. And I think I'm gonna get rid of this. That's fine. That's fine for me. My issue is now this is not connected to it, but I don't know why. Like, why isn't it connecting to this thing? Oh, it can't be up there? Oh, it can. It was... Oh, it's because I disconnected. Yeah, I just didn't want the... Like, I don't want it to, like, angle down. Oh, I will be doing that TikTok later. And again, when I get the Switch 2, I was just trying to... Yeah, literally. Wait, what are you doing later, Taco? Tell me. Other Pokemon have spawned. Let's get Palmo. Trubbish, do you like your new house? Love that. Love that. I want to build out a store for Meowth too. Getting stabbed? Getting stabbed? Oh. Oh, you're getting a tattoo. Is it your first tattoo, Taco? Think of it more like little tiny kisses. Manipulating the genetic makeup of your skin. I thought you were actually getting stabbed. I'm gonna tear this up. I think I'm gonna make this all like an island. Yeah, I'm gonna like build this bridge across. This bridge goes over there, but I feel like I want to make the bridge go across this way. And up there, if that makes sense. I do have to build those building blocks. Whee! I think that's all the darkness, right? There's... I came here from Pommel. Follow me. Dum 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 dum. Beat it up. Here, Pomo. I'm shocked this thing. Oh, I see. So it is generating electricity. Okay, Pomo, I don't need you anymore. Yeah. Where's Smeargle? Oh, he's over there. Can't even fathom. Oh, okay, so it does have. But it doesn't reach up there now. Oh, neither can I. I'm all tangled up. We have chesto berries here. Well, now I know I can rock smash this. Because I sure did build this out so that Palmy could electrify it. Well, shout out to no fall damage. Oh, I should break this all, huh? Take a berry before Oh, I see what they did with the roof. They added that second layer first. Okay, okay. Too high up, guys. Have we not learned? And just like that. No more building. All mine. Same. Still not close enough. Iron plating. Because it's a, oh! I guess these are already on, so I don't have to worry about them. But it is up here. And it's already lit. Oh, there's a windmill over there! And honey! Okay, so a pole can go there. Splat. Like low-key, I don't need this one anymore. Powered by the other one. Whatever, we'll just keep it there. We'll add them. I think it has to go here. That's not what I wanted to do. I have to wrap it around somehow. Oh, this is when I put it here. I see. Something is in the way of the electrical wires. Yeah, I don't want to get rid of it and rebuild it. But I have too much box. That. Oh, I never picked it up. Not taking the material, that's crazy. You know, sometimes you just need a farm. Heck yeah, look at that. Let's go. Ryan, how was your day today? I texted you earlier. There was a chat. You had a good day today? Are we back? But now we understand. Now we have access to utility poles, which is new. I wonder if the utility poles. I think that's kind of excessive. I probably didn't need all that. But we can also have the utility poles. Like, damn, they're just. Okay, W utility pole. Yeah, we have electricity running, which is nice. So now we can put up more lights everywhere. I think I'm gonna just change this. What's this? What's what? Someone, wait, let's see. Who do we get? Executor! Let's go! The Labyrinth is like, what the hell are you? So here's the thing. I'm sleepy right now. I would love a nap. But I want to eat some berries. And I want to go for a walk. So can you think of some way we can take a nap and eat and go on a walk at the same time? That's hilarious. Chief Executor's 3 heads is thinking different thoughts. Oh, that's it. That's the last of our... We completed it. We completed that habitat. Let's go. Them to make them. I need them to make up their mind to leave. No, seriously. Why am I stressed for y'all? Okay, let's. I guess we have to rebuild this bridge. Can't really do anything until the Pokemon Center's open. Because all the Pokemon are working. I like putting all the crafting materials in one thing. Let's put all the blocks in one. Then we can put all our crafting needs in there. There's furniture, but nothing else fits in there. Oh, I need to add this back in their house, and I need to add some toys for a bed. Bed's made. Straw beds. Plain bed. I also need these counters. And I need the cash register. Cash register. Ooh, what if I put one of these things? This one. Oh, I have it in my inventory already. Whoops. Okay. Who is swimming? Is it so Palmy? Palmy, what? What's wrong? Hi, Ditto. Can I ask you a favor? I'd like one bundle of vine rope. Look at this. Oh, do I not have vine rope in my hands? Gotcha something. Thanks so much. Oh wow, he gave me Pokemetal. Nothing here. Let's see if these things spawned. Otherwise, I think I'm gonna make the house store right there. Let's see if Caliper. Looking to see if this thing's shaking over there. Doesn't look like it. There. Nothing here. Snorlax. Alright, let's make Meow's little store. And then I think we'll call it. That's why I need this store. I'm determined to get Mudkip if it's the last thing. It doesn't count. Wait, why? Why doesn't it count? Why doesn't it count? Dramatic as hell. Oh, it's gone. It is gone. Follow me. I'm gonna put you in that other house. How come that's not making the environment that I want? Is it too crowded in here? Oh, is it? It's not supposed to be behind it. It's supposed to be There you go. Didn't fit there while you were there, but now it does. Hooper, let's go. We're gonna go put you somewhere else. Well, let's see what kind of environment. Oh wow, you're not even found here. I think it's Muck. I don't think it's Mudkip. Teddy with the check-in, let's go! I love their Pokedrama, dude. I love how dramatic they are. They're so crazy. Oh, that's not what I meant to say. Teddy, how are you? Thank you for checking in. No audio lurking. Well, I'm gonna type in chat because I don't think it's spelling lurking. It's crazy. More likely than you think. Oh, Lugia is back. Where's Wooper? Hey. Oh, marshy tallgrass. Like humid. Okay. We're just gonna throw you into this. Look at how cute he is. Hydrated tall grass. Honestly, let's just make you an environment. Where's that silver wing falling? Right there. Oh my god, right in their house. Moving here? Sure is. Now all the Pokemon pretty much live here, which is nice. I think the only Pokemon who don't live here are Meowth. Like, Meowth's the only one who doesn't... Or no, I mean, Smeargle. Meowth should live here. Meowth should be living in this. But we can throw this in his store. Have him live. Let's see where this wing fell. Right in front of their house. That's incredible. Literally in front of the door. We'll have Meowth live with the electric type. So that. Just enough room for a utility pole. Let's go get Meowth, actually. Meowthy, come here. Follow me. Oh, also, let's get that vending machine. Excuse me. Ooh, look at all this stuff. Shaded beach, floating in the shade. Berry feast campsite. I don't want to get these hints though. Because what if I don't have the item? Then, let me grab your stuff now that you're following. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know I could put that on the fence like that. That's actually really cute. Oh my god, look at that. Now we're moving ya. Put fencing in my pocket. I do have fencing. I have enclosure. Does this count as fencing? It does count as fencing. Attach these to rocks, dirt, or walls. You can also arrange these in a perimeter to form. Interesting. Not a habitat. Let's see what I can make. Eb! Oh my god, what's up, Eb? How are you? Mr. Webster! How you doing? It's been a minute. Thanks. Let's move all my items over here. I'm not gonna. Haven't been great, but it's okay. It is okay, huh? Honestly, same here. If I'm gonna be honest. I was just telling chat that life's been a little interesting lately, but nothing I can't handle. Oh, did I not get rid of this one page? I didn't. I'm doing okay. Life's kind of meh. Yeah. Can agree that life is a little meh. Let's just throw all that there. I need to move all these things. I'm gonna throw. I'm just gonna throw stuff back in here. I'm sorry, life's not going favorably at the moment, Ed, but I hope you're hanging in there, and I'm glad you're here, so we can have feel good vibes, you know. How's your stream been? Stream's been fun. I mean, we've been playing this the last few streams, but I get distracted so much because there's so much to do that I honestly feel like I don't get anything done. If that makes sense. There's just so much to do in this game. Teddy was here not too long ago. These are all my crafting materials, so maybe we just keep this in our inventory while we build. And get our flooring. Oh, none of this is flooring. Okay, what do we want to make this out of? Actually, I didn't mind having just like this game seems cool. It's honestly so much fun. Maybe we'll just make it grassy or sandy because it's a beach. We'll do a mix of both because we honestly don't have a lot anyway. And then we can build a fence. It needs a door. Ooh, what if we did something like this? Boat railing. I don't have any ingots. Ooh, arched barrier. This is cute. Let's do this one. Yes. Perfect time to learn them. Sandy for sure. Yeah. Let's do Sandy. I probably wouldn't be into it though. I don't know Pokemon like that. Well, you're in luck because honestly, you don't need to know a lot about Pokemon to play this game. It's honestly just like building stuff. It honestly just doesn't feel like a Pokemon game at all. Let's do a mix of sand. See, this is all sand. We can do a mix of sand and now let's see if it'll make this enclosure. I want it here. Let's how big can we make this? Ooh. See, I don't want all that, so it's gonna have to go this way. I don't think it's allowed to touch, like, walls. See, I'm just building. It kind of gives me Stardew. See, okay, that is another game I would compare it to, Stardew Valley. Like, does this not feel like Stardew coded? Oh my god, Ali with the gifted to Eb. Eb, check out the new sub badges, by the way. We have sub badges now, which is honestly iconic. I hope you enjoy them. Thank you, Ali, so much for your gifted sub. Too generous and too kind. I know, Ali's the best, isn't she? Box, what's up, baby? How are you? We're building Meowth's house/store right now. Just in time. This is the last thing we're doing on stream. You're good? Meowth, get the hell out of my way. I'm trying to build your home. Honestly, we can put the door there. I think I have a door in my inventory. I love it. Yeah, we're building Meowth's house. We're gonna probably put a few more other people in here. Maybe all the electric Pokemon, and then we'll set up his little store. We'll start trading too. Pushing him around. Yeah, like, get the hell out of my way, Meowth. I'm the one that asked him to follow me, by the way. I wish I had more doors. But honestly, a wooden gate. I haven't learned a lot of recipes. Fox, how was your day? Love this emote. Yes, the boba emote's so good. How was your day? How was work today? Have you been playing any Pokopias? See, we're gonna extend this, and we're gonna make this a water, like a little pond. Hell yeah! Executor's down there. Oh my god, it scared me. I thought somebody had spawned. We're gonna make it a little pond. This way, Lapras can live here, and Clodsire, and Meryl, and it's just gonna be like a water, situation. Move the grass around and all that. Let's put this over down. Oh, does this not? Why doesn't it work as a door? Haven, I ordered myself a Didu Lucario plush for my room. Oh my god, that sounds so adorable. Wait, Vox, I need help because it's not registering. Why can't I put that there? Why can't it clip there? Why can't it clip there? It's not clocking into them. I don't know why it's not making this count as a house. Is it because it's not connected there? Oh, do I need to have another? Oh. I need assistance. Thanks for checking in, bro. Hi, Haven. Yes, Eb with the check-in. Yes, Eb, we have check-ins in here now. I don't know why it's not functioning as a door. Like this one does. Is it because the door is not made of wood? Dude, I haven't figured out, like, shouldn't the fencing just count? Questions that need answers. Like, what about this is not a house? I'm having a hard time. Yes, Vox, with the check-in, 7 days. Or 7 times. Let's go. Looks healthy to me. I mean, look at all the walls. Maybe the fencing is wrong? Like, maybe it has to be a certain fencing, but I thought this was literally called a fence. Oh, it doesn't count because it's not fencing. Okay, it's just railing. Because there's no house there. Well, you see, Eb. Railing. Ali, go to DC. I have a very important question. I thought you meant DC as in like Washington DC, and I was like, oh my gosh, telling Ali to travel is crazy. I was about to say, Ronnie, are you in DC? So that didn't work. Ooh woo. Ali, travel for me. Yeah. I guess I'll just do the enclosure. I didn't want to put walls up. We could also do like a log situation. I need a link to buy like an Amazon link. Oh, do I not have any logs here? Oh, I didn't bring any logs. Oh no, they're right here. Sideways logs. Line some up and you'll have a bridge. Fence on the same row as the gate? That's what I was saying. No, that's what I'm saying. It's not clicking to me. What I want is to make an iron enclosure, I guess. I'm just gonna put an enclosure up and call it a day. Or maybe I'll just do wooden walls. See, I think that's like another problem I have is that I'm not really sure why that's not functioning as a home. It is a fence on the same row as the gate. No, these are ladders, but these are the fences down here. Oh, what if we did this? I just want something. Oh, did Meowth help me? Oh, Meowth. Let's make your enclosure. Let's see if this will work. That's not what I wanted. See, like this isn't even closing. I have to put a structure down. Very unclear. I need a show to watch. Let's see. What have I been watching? Shows I've been watching include. Let's see. All this plaster. I'm trying to think. I honestly, I've been watching. Oh, I've been watching a lot of Hack. Like, does that count? Does that count as it's closed? I don't know. I'm just gonna put fencing here. Into sitcoms? Okay. Well, Abbott. If you don't watch Abbott Elementary, you should watch Abbott Elementary. Pretty funny sitcom. The other sitcom. I'm just gonna I'm just gonna put his bed down and I'm gonna look up how to make the house. This way I can just make the storefront for him. Oh, did I drop all the stuff already? Need the cardboard boxes. There you go. I guess I gotta make a straw. I think Abbott is probably the only sitcom that I know of off the top of my head that I've been watching. I'm just gonna put you down here. Hey, been here? There it is. Completely changed his whole house around. With that being said, we're going to put up these counters and the register and see what trading's all about. Oh, they must be in here. Let's put these blocks back. I mean, I guess we have to throw all this away. Oh, it's not close enough. But let's see. Oh, here are the counters. Oh, they go sideways like this? Oh, they attach. Larvitar, please move. Move, thanks. Let's put the cash register here. Then I'm gonna... The electric type Pokemon are definitely gonna be here, so I'm gonna put this down. And this down. And then put a trash can down. I have my utility poles. Okay, let's get electricity all the way down here. Yeah, why are you back over there? Like, what is over there for you? Let's be honest. Here, I'm gonna make him. I'm heading to the cash register. Yes. Okay, bye. Have fun at the cash register. That's what I wanted. All right, let's get light. Let there be lights. Does it reach? Excuse me. Thank you for lurking, Eb. It was good to see you. play a game. Have fun in your game. Hope it's relaxing. You're looking at it a million times. This. And I need brick wall. Stone brick. Okay, okay. The way I could just put on the utility pole. Why isn't it connected? Wait. I was like, that defeats the literal whole purpose. Let's go get... Oh! Help! Photo op, where? He's at the register, he's selling... Look at him, selling goods! There's a habitat nearby that I haven't uncovered yet. Nearby habitat, is it this counter? You see that? Nearby habitats? Alright, let's get another tile. Foundation. Heck yeah, let's go. And we're powered up. I totally won't. I like this chair though. Luxury chair. It's saying I'm near a habitat, but I haven't discovered it yet. Do I want to get knitting supplies or the chair or the Wobbuffet toy? Wobbuffet Wobbler. Yeah, I totally will. What you gonna trade it for? Oh, stuff I don't need, pretty much. You know Needed 2,000. Let me get you what you need. I'll be back. Actually, I don't have the green flooring, but I would totally sell him that green flooring. Me not having anything to sell him, though I wanted him to sell that. You know what, Meow? You can have some. I need 1,000 or 2,000. Should I just sell 10 utility poles? I can low-key sell it. Let's do it. I can always make more and steal some from around the island. Oh yeah. All right. Well, we set up our store. We set up some light in Vermilion City. We kind of ate this up. No Pokemon, no other Pokemon to spawn, but we got a few good Pokemon spawned. Meowth won't be wandering anymore. I just want Meowth to sit by the Pokemon. Yeah. Iconic. Next up is making sure the lights make sense. So off stream later today, I'll probably just be adding stuff to make sure the utility poles are not like a mess. Want some good news? Oh my god, Ronnie, tell me, what's the good news? What's the good word, my friend? I'll take a little selfie. Look at him! Hey guys! So, this morning we saw a skunk! Oh no, called animal control, and they were all like, well, it's not bleeding or attacking anyone, we gotta leave it be. An hour later, we saw it laying in front of someone's house, not moving. No, get it to moving nada. We called animal control again, and they sent someone over to collect the body for him to be alive. Did he spray everywhere? Like, how scared was he? He was just taking a nap. He was just taking a nap, friend. Well, thank you guys for coming on this journey. The Pokemon Center will be built tomorrow. And stream tomorrow will be a little later in the day. Star! Oh my god, I'm doing so good. I've been enjoying Pokopia so much. I'm just about ending stream now. Much shorter stream than normal. I did get started a little later than I thought. I thought it would get started sooner, but life had other plans. Poor little dude walked up to the animal control lady and she just puked on him. Oh no, and now they're off, hopefully get better. Oh my god, what? The lady puked on the skunk? No, the lady was all, they usually aren't this chilled or something. Oh. Oh, puked him. Oh, you meant picked him up. Oh my god. Like, wait, the lady threw up on this poor little skunk too? That's so crazy. Yeah. I read the all types of wrong. Did autocorrect? It's okay, you were excited. I got to the bottom of it. Wes?
It's me! Jessica! I'm in here!
Thank you all for stopping in and getting your check-ins. Thanks for hanging out with me while I do cozy gaming with Pokopia. Tomorrow I'll probably be live in the early evening afternoon. maybe around the same time, but definitely a longer stream. Um, I don't know if I'll be playing this, but maybe I'll be playing some DVD. Cam will be on. Um, but yeah, thank you. Well, thank you for being here, Ali. I really appreciate you ending your day with me. Appreciate everybody being here. Thank you for stream. I'm glad I got to stream for a little bit today. Um, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll read out to somebody. Oh, Squishy's on playing Pokopia. Oh, new friend Johnny is on. Let's read out to Squishy. Squishy's playing Pokopia. Good friend of ours. She's the vibe. She's the mom from Texas. Is it XF underscore Squishy? That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. I was like, that's not her name. Oh, there's two underscores. There you go. That's her. Squishy usually streams Fortnite. But she's heavy on community. Like her chat's always bumping, and she always plays games with chat. She also plays some DVD too. Probably like pretty much the same gameplay as I do. Um, Sims, like all kinds of games. Sims, Pokemon, DVD, Fortnite are all games she streamed. But yeah, let's go hang out with her. I'm gonna be raiding and running because I have dinner plans. Um, aka I'm making lasagna, and that will take a while, so I have to go get to it. I appreciate you all so much. Stream is only fun when you guys are here, and I'm always glad that you guys are here. I think I'm gonna start signing off my streams like that too. Streams are always fun when you're here. So I'm really happy you're here, and I think that's a great sign off. Because I feel like I end stream like that all the time, and I'm honestly just really happy people come hang out with me and don't get tired of me and my confusion when I play games like this. So I appreciate you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Please don't get arrested today because you won't get out of jail until Monday. Okay, remember that. Everyone be safe and stay sane. And let's go say hi. Thank you guys for being here. I love when you're here. Stream is so much better with you. Thank you. Bye.